listening to Table for Five with Felicia and Annette, only on LA Talk Radio.
Good Monday morning, everyone. Good Monday.
Are we a little happier today?
Well, yes, I am.
We're refreshed.
I'm well rested.
Yes.
And
she was away.
a little tan.
In
No,
another
maybe a little burnt, I think. Not
no,
much.
No, you have a little color. You do have a little color.
I have a little color, right?
You do
Where'd you
have a
go?
little.
I went to Hawaii.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Yes.
spring break, Hawaii.
Yes. I got a little burnt because I didn't realize how pale I was.
Really?
So, yeah, I
you
forgot to
should've
put
called me.
sunscreen. I forgot to put sunscreen on this part of my arm. I was like, oh, yeah, I'll be okay. Yeah, and I got burnt. Anyways, good Monday morning,
Good Monday
everyone.
morning.
It's
We are
Monday,
back.
April 9th, 2018. We're
Yeah.
here. Welcome. You are watching Table for Five with Felicia and
Yes,
Annette. If you
we're
had
a
any
full
question
table.
of where you are, we've got a full table here today. And you, the listening and viewing audience, is always going to have a seat at our table. You will always be our guest. So we would like to welcome you back to the show. We were off for a week last week, but we had a great repeat show. Hopefully you guys
Yes.
caught that. It was one of our, I would say, really highest watched
Highest
shows
watched, yeah.
to date, about the She Does, hashtag She Does movement.
Yeah.
So fascinating. I was actually talking about it a lot on vacation with my, how do you call it? Like airline partner, seat mate?
You passenger that was sitting next to you?
My
Your
passenger
husband?
seat
No,
mate.
no.
No, he was with the kids. Like, I was like, okay, yeah, you go sit over there. And I sat next to this lovely lady. She was very nice. We talked for 4 hours and 55 minutes.
Wow.
And my husband was, his head was about to explode, even though he had on headphones. Because he was like, what were you talking about for 4 hours? And I was like, we're talking about everything. Whatever. We talked
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
It's what we do.
So
It's
hopefully
what I
she's
do.
watching the show this morning.
I hope so. If she is, Elizabeth Espinoza, shout out to you.
Oh,
Thank you for making my
Was that your
Hawaii
return flight?
That was my return flight.
Oh,
yes.
nice.
Yes, we went to Hawaii, the Big Island, the last of the chain of islands for us and our family.
Nice.
I have to say, I don't know if I'll be visiting again, Big Island. I mean, it was nice. I feel like we did everything we needed to do on that island.
Right.
And now we don't need to go back.
Oh, well, there you go.
And I won't be flying Hawaiian Airlines there anymore either. I give shouts out.
I like Hawaiian Airlines.
Yeah, she had a good experience.
I had a wonderful experience.
Maybe I'll fly it one more time, hopefully to get a better experience. But yeah, I didn't really love it. I can't say that I just loved it, but
Well, there you go.
yeah.
I guess we're not getting an ad from Hawaiian Airlines.
No, probably not, but that's okay. But we do have an ad today,
Yes.
our first commercial today. Today's show is being brought to you by Soul of a Woman blog, a place where you will read about life experiences, lessons, and stories that may speak to you, may speak to your circumstances. A conversation between the reader and me, a conversation that comes from a woman's perspective, a blog to inspire, encourage, and entertain.
Oh, how fun.
Soul of a Woman.
I know.
Blog.
Look it up.
Soulofwoman.blog.
Yes, soulofwoman.blog. And also,
Yes.
I want to remind everybody that you can catch us on social media, on our Instagram, our Twitter, our Facebook, our YouTube channel, and our website, which I like to call our one-stop shop. Or if you're interested in advertising with us, you can do that on our website. There's a little tab, and you can click it, and someone very professional will return your email.
Yes.
And you can see all the past shows and see what we look like with long hair, short hair, long hair, short hair.
We've had the gamut, kind of.
We've had it all.
Today my hair is up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm still on the islands.
Yeah,
so
she has
I'm
the
sorry.
flower in her hair.
Yes,
She's
I
still
got the
like
bangle. I got
yeah,
the
she's not, but
necklace.
she
Yes.
hasn't let it go yet.
No, I haven't.
But
maybe by the end of the week. Maybe
Okay.
by next week.
So you went to Hawaii.
Yes.
Well, I did something different. I literally unplugged for a whole week.
Yeah, I
8
saw
days.
that.
8 days, literally.
That's amazing.
No social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, WordPress. No TV.
Oh,
and
you
no
didn't do
talk
TV?
even do TV and no talk radio for 8 days.
Wow.
You had no news?
No news, right?
That was hard.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And that's hard for me because I'm a news junkie.
Yeah.
And so it was wonderful.
Yeah.
I felt like I was hearing the birds clearer.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that
Yes,
too.
I
Yeah.
challenge. My
just
next
trying to
blog is
figure
about
out.
challenging people to do it even for 5 days,
Yeah.
2 days. See how much can you really unplug? Because that's the noise in our life. I realize this is my
Yeah.
little philosophy. The noise in our lives, are, aside from conversation that you have with everybody, is external noise, which is your Twitter, your Instagram, your Facebook, because you have to stop go and make a comment
Engage.
and engage.
Yeah.
And then it disrupts whatever you're doing because you feel like that's so necessary and
What
required.
about the people who schedule time to do that? I don't, but I'm
That's
sure
no-
there might be people out there that
Listen, I schedule, well, I will start scheduling time. I have to do it because of my blog and because of this show. It's required of us to be on social media. That's how we
Right.
keep ourselves going. But in a personal sense, I'm kind of like, ooh, I don't really need to post that I went,
Right.
because I did have a wonderful week. I did go out. I enjoyed myself. I went sightseeing and we went to places that I really wanted to go to, but I didn't feel the need to post it.
Yeah.
Like I felt like
Yes.
it's not
Absolutely.
that important.
Absolutely.
Well, and
What
I
do you
found
care
the opposite.
that I went-
I didn't have really access to it. I mean, well, I shouldn't say access. Our Wi-Fi was just shoddy on the island, so I was a little frustrated because there were things that I did want to have out there so that my family could see, or friends, whatever. People were texting me like, "What are you doing? Having fun?" So that's an easy way for me to keep connected, where I don't have to necessarily like one-on-one engage. I can just put it out there. So, but it didn't bother me that much.
Right.
Like I wished that I could have posted.
But
here
you're
and
not
there,
I don't find you don't post a lot on Instagram. You don't ever post on Twitter. And you rarely post on like you get in conversations.
Well, I'm in Snapchat now more.
Oh, Lord Jesus, I do not have
Snapchat.
Snapchat. I will not get Snapchat. I've tried it 4 times. I don't know how to do that.
I don't love it because I feel like that engagement is not there. I prefer Facebook because I like the interaction, the back and forth that you can have with people. And you can not if you don't choose to. But Snapchat is just too quick. But I mean, I don't know. It's fun. If you don't keep up with it, then you don't know what people are doing.
no, I
but,
have
whatever.
no time for that. I have no energy for Snapchat. I really don't. I mean, I don't have time. I was able to start working out again. I went. I had my back with my trainer. I cleaned. I did spring cleaning. I went to Santa
Hopefully
Monica.
you all are spring cleaning.
I went downtown. I went to the last bookstore. We went shopping. I mean, I just felt so relaxed. Like I didn't feel, and I read. I finished one book, Fire and Fury by Michael Wolff. Don't
You
judge
finished
me.
it?
I finished it.
Oh,
Don't
okay.
you judge me. Don't judge me.
Okay.
But I read it. It was quite the novel. It reads like a novel.
We have to have a whole show about that.
Oh
I
my
think.
gosh, yeah, that book is outrageous. And also, I started reading The Vanishing Neighbor and Half the Sky, which are very interesting books. And I have to read an American memoir.
Yes.
Yeah.
American Story.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
tried to find it at the last bookstore downtown, and they didn't have it.
Oh,
I was shocked.
It's sold out.
Yeah, well,
She's
I have to go to
amazing.
Barnes and Noble get it. So yeah, so
Yes.
it's been great and journaling. I like peace and quiet, and eating out. It was just nice. I don't know. Did you mind not having the TV? I mean, you put the TV on.
I would put the TV on like when you would go to bed, but
Yeah.
not. I mean, it was.
It wasn't on at
We
all.
didn't really have access. I want to say too, like Mark watched a lot of like CNN and stuff. I wanted to watch
Right.
more local news, but we weren't really watching a lot of TV. Like we were in and out a lot.
Yeah.
We stayed in a home, like a villa, like a condo, which was really very nice. I recommend. Listen, my tip of the day, my vacation tip of the day is no matter where you go, if you're traveling with kids, find yourself a Walmart, find yourself a Target, and buy a toaster oven and a hot plate. And to me, those are the 2 things that you can do to save money.
I'm on vacation.
Because if you're traveling with
What
little
kind
kids,
of
who
vacation?
wants to
You
pay?
don't have 5 and 4-year-olds.
$15 for chicken tenders. Well, we were there at the resort, and I just saw how much stuff was.
Well, you were
And I
also
was
in,
like-
in a home villa environment. Yeah.
Right. So I didn't have
that's
to buy
different.
any of that stuff, which was nice. And I like vacationing like that. Like I'm not trying to cook meals, although I did. I don't know why, but anyways.
They charge you
that
more
is-
when you stay in the villa for food.
No,
Like,
actually,
villa? Yeah, okay, charge you more.
we did have a $68 pizza delivered to. Actually, there was two pizzas for $68.
Wow.
Which I was like, but they treated my kids like adults, so they're 13
Right.
and 14. So everywhere
Yeah.
we went,
Disney treat,
they
that's
were
an adult
charged
in Disney.
for everything as adults. So I was like, hey, guess what? Y'all are gonna come with me to the spa,
Yeah.
and use the spa facilities because you're getting charged like an adult.
Yeah.
But that's my tip. Like, if you want to go someplace nice, splurge on the hotel, but buy those 2 things because don't spend $15 for the chicken tenders. Just don't. Or the mac and cheese. Just don't do it.
$60 for a pizza.
I don't even know what to say
68
to
for
that.
2 pizzas, and they were like that big. They weren't even like 2 large pizzas. It
Wow.
was like 2 pizzas for the kids. $68. I almost threw somebody in that ocean.
That's the villa charge.
Wow.
Did you have a lot of vegetables on it, or
No, that was nothing but cheese and pepperoni.
cheese and pepperoni?
Yes, and grease. Yeah, it was a situation, 4 Seasons. But yeah, so we stayed at the 4 Seasons off of their main property. They own like 800 acres in this particular area. And so they've got homes and villas that you can rent. So it was very nice, wonderful. We did a helicopter ride. We went zip lining.
You
so
did
you
it?
recommend to have something to cook.
I do.
Yeah, so just bring
Yes.
something,
Yes.
yeah.
Go to Walmart and listen, you can be ghetto or you can be nice. The nice thing to do would be to donate it to like a local charity, after you've spent
I'm
just
on
60 yes.
vacation. What, you
After
are asking
you're
me to find a
leaving-
charitable.
Yes, I'm asking you to
I
find.
am on
or you could be ghetto and you
vacation.
could take it back and get
I
your
am.
money back. I don't know.
Oh, never. What? Don't listen.
Listen,
No.
I'm trying to save you money. Okay,
No.
that's what I'm trying to do.
If you are on vacation, you're on vacation. That means room service, no cooking, blah blah blah. Don't
Really?
do all that.
Are you trying to spend $15
Yes.
for mac and cheese?
Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely, absolutely.
Absolutely, yes.
If there's a Gucci store, I'll go to the Gucci store and save my little money.
Oh my gosh! Don't listen to her.
Go buy the
Just
hot plate and
Save
toast
your
roll.
money. Stay in a place. Order your food. Just relax. That's what vacation is. You don't want to have to.
But
cook
I was
and
there
worry
for
about.
6 days. Like if you could do that if you're there for like, I don't know, 4 days or something like that. But if you're there for that length of time, you don't want to be spending that kind of money every single day. Like I'd rather spend it on excursions. Like the helicopter ride was not cheap. So
Did you zip line?
I zip line.
How was
Oh
it?
my God. I can say I did it. I won't ever do it again.
Oh
I
my
don't need to do it again.
gosh.
So I think you need to do it.
I think I need to do
I
it
think
too.
you need to
and
do it.
scream all the way there.
Yeah.
all the way to the other
Listen,
side.
I learned, because you're a control freak like me.
Yeah.
People who have control issues, I don't think recommending
Did
ziplining
you-
would
yeah.
be. I had such a hard time like letting go. Like I had to just step off the thing and let go. Like everybody was like,
No.
come on, you're taking too long.
Well, I think, it's very strange. If I'm with my family, I'll do it because we're all together. So we can, I know this is going to sound real morbid, but we'll just all go down together.
No, because everyone's going individually.
I know, but he'll catch me. Somehow he'll catch me.
Oh, okay.
I-
At the zip line?
At the
Okay.
end, he'll stop that
Okay.
zip line. Be like, get my wife off. He's done it before. Like he'll be like, no, it's too much for her. Like he knows my
Oh,
Her
that's
limits.
nice.
my limits.
Limits.
Like he'll
Right.
listen. When we went to Hawaii the last time, I didn't get to go zip lining because I didn't have closed toe shoes. Remember, and I had to stay in the car. And when he went all the way up with Paul and he did all those zip lines, he came down. He's like, that would have been too much for you. You would have been.
She would have been cursing up a
upset.
storm.
He said because you go different heights
Yeah.
and different levels.
Yeah, and
He
different
said-
lengths. So it was like they started out with like a
Right.
300 feet and 600 and so it wasn't to me like it wasn't the length of it. It was just like letting go and not having the control. So
no,
there
if
were
you do
bridges.
it once, then it's you're done.
No, there were 9 of them.
I know,
that
but
had
if you
to
let
do.
go once, you can let go 10 more times.
Yeah, no. It was
Oh,
hard
Lord.
every single time. but
Oh,
the
my
bridge, what I
gosh.
thought was interesting, there were these little bridges with these little planks that you were attached to something, and everybody else thought that these were the scariest. Like they were like, "Oh my God, this was really scary compared to
Yeah,
the
see,
actual
that's where I
ziplining."
probably would have thrown up. The
but
bridge.
no. To me, it was so much better because I could hold on to it.
The bridge can
I
fall.
could, but then you're clipped, so
and
if
then
it
so you're
falls,
dangling.
Okay, that's fine.
Oh, no.
But I had more control. That's what I realized. I had more control over it. I could step where I wanted to step, not step, walk, whatever, and hold on. The zip lining, you just got to let go and let God and pray that mongooses aren't crawling and do. Yeah, it was a lot. It was the situation.
Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad you
Yes.
did it.
Yay.
Yay.
Won't do it again.
All right, well, that was our week off.
Yes.
And
Yes,
so we're
yes.
glad to be back. And we have
Yes.
a wonderful, exciting show. Very interesting.
So exciting.
Yeah, you want to read?
No,
wanna
you
read?
go ahead.
Okay. So today our special guest is Dr. I'm going to say this. Tell me if I'm wrong. Rael.
Yes.
Dr. Rael Sims. He's a relationship expert, body language expert, motivational speaker, and neuropsychologist.
Psychologist, yes.
Relationship scientist Dr. Rael Sims is a cognitive neuropsychologist, behaviorist, motivational speaker, and the leading authority on the neuroscience of relationships, sex worldwide.
Amazing.
A licensed and certified relationship coach, counselor, marriage facilitator, body language expert with the Relationship Coaching Institute and the Prepare Enrich program. Rael's passion is analyzing the neuroscience of love, which, you're going to have to explain that, by dissecting why people do what we do from an eco-bio-psychosocial, social, spiritual point of view. Say
I
that
love
10
that.
times.
Echo,
Say that.
bio,
From an eco, bio,
psycho.
psychosocial, and spiritual point of view.
Yes, I
and his
love that.
quote on his website, which is very interesting, which I also want to ask you about, preparing yourself to be preparing yourself is to prevent repairing yourself.
Yes.
So I think so. Thank you for
That
being here.
deserves
Welcome. Ooh, that's loud.
Live audience.
I know.
Yeah.
And we also
Live studio
have
audience.
Robert Mata
Yes.
from Robert Mata Designs and
Welcome,
Ballers. Thank you for
gentlemen.
being here. And my husband, and I thought he'd be a good co-host and guest to kind of have a
Offset it.
male perspective of what
Yeah.
it is you're saying.
Yeah.
Yes.
So welcome to our show.
Yes,
thank
thank
you.
you.
And,
Welcome.
okay,
Welcome.
I have
I'm
a question.
excited.
Here we go.
watch
You ready?
you guys show
I
all the time.
got. You ready? Because I got 3 pages
Okay,
of
drum
questions.
roll.
Oh my
All right.
gosh.
Why did you choose this field?
Well, when I first started years ago, I was just a relationship coach. And when I was invited to seminars, it seemed like that we were all saying the exact same thing. And I wanted to know a little bit more about why we do what we do. And then it also seemed that it was a lot of information was what we think. You know, and it wasn't something that we can just tangible, something that's science that you can really teach somebody. And I found all of us were just saying the same thing, and it was, and some of us was like, you know, what we think, and it wasn't coming from any research, you know, based
interesting.
thing and everything. And I
Okay.
said, you know, I gotta do more.
Yeah.
I just gotta do more, and I decided to just go back to school and
Yes.
learn a little bit more about this, a little bit more about biology.
Let's talk about your schooling.
Psychology.
Yeah.
You know, and it was just so important for me to just
Yeah.
get that knowledge. And then once I went to school, and I was like, okay, I need a little bit more. I wanted to know more about the brain.
Yeah.
I wanted to know what's going on in the brain and the body,
Right.
what's happening when we do certain things, and how can we prevent them, or why are we doing
Right.
these certain things
Right.
in relationships.
So is that what is
Yeah.
considered a relationship scientist, where you study the
Yes.
why of the
Study
behavior?
the why of
Yes.
the behavior.
Ah.
You know, and to give the science reason, you know, because a lot of people think, well, we're just doing this because, you know, I don't know. I talk about kissing a lot. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but just like the kissing, you know, we think that we just want to kiss because we see it in the movies and,
Right.
you know, we read it in the novels or the books, right?
Well,
Yeah.
but this was not
Disney
a novel.
movies.
Oh, okay. All right.
It was actually it's a nonfiction book, but I called it a
Nonfiction.
novel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And, but there's reasons why
Right.
we have to kiss.
Right.
And especially
have
for,
to kiss?
especially
Yes.
for a female. It's a reason why it's important for her to receive the kiss more than the male. The male needs it too, but it's a real reason why the female is really asking.
Okay,
for
but
that
when you
kiss.
say kiss, you mean an intimate kiss or a greeting?
Intimate kiss.
Okay, okay.
When you're being intimate, you know,
Okay.
it's so important, and it's important for us men to understand that, because we think,
I'm so
oh,
glad
you
you're
just
here."
want to kiss. You know, it's like, oh, you just want to kiss because we saw it on the movies and everything. You know, but
is there a chemical response in both male and female?
yeah, it is
To it, and maybe the female is
Well,
stronger.
more, yes, more so for the female, because can I mention?
Yeah, well, I was
Yeah.
just before we get into that, I just
Yeah.
wanted to let people know, like, the extent that you have gone to study this. Like, you have a doctorate in clinical psychology, you've got a bachelor's in biology, so you went back and you really
Yeah.
went and
And
dissected.
a bachelor's in psychology and a master's in psychology.
Okay, yes.
And a master's
Yes.
in behavior health. and
This is
mental
an
health.
adult
Yes.
show. We want to make sure that if anybody's listening,
Our disclaimer.
Yeah, our disclaimer.
Yes, we're going to
These are
get
adult
very
topics.
involved
Yes.
in technical terms
Yeah.
and, you know, sexual terms,
Right.
whatever. But this is the radio. We can talk about whatever.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a very interesting topic, and how the neuroscience, the study of the brain and the psychology of the brain works in respects to having your relationship. So that's why
Yeah.
I'm very excited to talk
Yes,
about all of
yes,
this. And
yes.
I love that you went back and I feel like you have studied it so thoroughly. Like, we are just about to get into the nitty gritty of it. So
Yep.
You wanna
guys
talk
are
about
scaring
kissing?
me too, because I was like, we're gonna really.
They're prepared.
we only have like
I'm
40
like,
minutes.
Let me get my books and everything, 'cause you guys are about to ask me some things.
no,
Are you married?
Yes, I am.
You are.
You are married.
Yeah.
Okay.
How long have you been married?
Wow.
We've been married for 17 years, but we've been knowing each other for 20. We've been dating.
Right.
When we
Fantastic.
first started dating.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Yeah, just
explain-
had our anniversary, March the 20th.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so explain the science of kissing.
Yes.
Yeah, well, when you kiss, the female actually receives testosterone from the male's saliva.
Oh.
And the testosterone goes into the ventral tegmental area, the caudate nucleus, the nucleus accumbens areas.
And what
the,
are those
The pleasure
areas?
center
Okay.
area of the brain.
Okay.
So it goes
And-
directly from your mouth. The testosterone is then
Yeah, and it goes
perceived
directly right to
your
the
brain.
pleasure center part of the brain that makes
Oh.
you aroused. And this is the key that opens up arousal. And that's why it's important for for the male to kiss.
Okay.
You know, sometimes we kiss when we first meet and everything, and then
Yeah.
once we have you, we don't kiss as much.
Yes.
But it's part of when we use the term foreplay, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is why it's so important, because the foreplay, this is what starts, the nickname is called tenting, but it's vessel congestion. And what that is that once the testosterone goes into the ventral tegmental area and causes you to become aroused, it also causes you to become more lubricated, right? And you don't really have to use, unless there's a vaginal problem, that you have to use KY jelly.
Right.
But actually kissing will just totally do the job.
So kissing is a natural lubricant.
Is a natural lubricant.
Can we say that again?
Is so cool.
Yeah,
Kissing
it's
is a natural,
love it.
lubricant.
And what happens is, when we talk about tenting, what happens is that the vaginal canal starts to swell, and more blood goes in, and the reason, and then when it swells, and that's so whatever goes in, it could grip, right?
Right.
And then the cervix moves the uterus away from the vaginal canal. So it moves just in case 5 or more inches goes into the vaginal canal.
So you're making room.
So you make room.
Yeah, your body is reacting.
Yes.
Yeah, so you make room. And this process is so you're not damaged.
Right.
And this is the reason why you have to take your time and actually prepare.
Right.
And then, you know, once you know that you're there, then you're ready. But some people don't have the time, or, you know, they don't take out the time to be patient as far as men is concerned. And you just go in and one, you're not lubricated. The process of the cervix moving the uterus is not yet. And that's why sometimes too it feels like, you know, when you hear you're hitting my stomach, it's hitting my stomach, but you're actually hitting the uterus because it hadn't moved yet.
Right. That makes
because
sense.
it hadn't
You're
went
causing
through the
pain.
process. You're causing pain.
You just got to
And
kiss a little longer.
You have to kiss a little longer, absolutely, and then, you know, that's when you're ready. So that's it's a whole process that starts. And
Okay.
kissing is and you
That's
know, because
amazing.
of the nerve endings too. You know, it's the second nerve endings to the clitoris.
The lips. The
The
lips.
lips.
These lips, not those lips.
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
Because they're both the same.
Oh.
So these you got me saying these lips.
She out of control.
The
Listen,
way
I'm
she
trying to
said
get
it too. These lips and not these lips. And she's used 2 fingers, right? But absolutely.
Okay.
Okay, so that you're explaining. So I'm just a little confused. I'm just a little confused. So how attracting the science, relationship science, right? So we wouldn't know, you know, we wouldn't know what that is because we're just attracted to each other.
Yes.
I'm attracted to him emotionally, right? Is that what you're saying, or no? Is it scientific first and then emotional?
It sounds like it doesn't have to be. I mean, I think the emotional might be the cherry on top.
Yeah, the emotional is the cherry on top.
So it's a
physically,
scientific attraction?
It's a science attraction. Now, you don't have to see. We could be attracted to you and not know, because we're talking about biology now. We're talking about how the body. It's something that I call the major histocompatibility complex, and that is how we are attracted to another person without us realizing. Because when two human beings or two living, breathing creatures come together, horses, dogs, or whatever, what's the first thing that they do? Smell. We do the same thing. We do the exact same thing. We're just not conscious of it, right? And now, what are we smelling for? What are we looking for when we smell?
Nobody.
We're looking for chemistry
Oh.
to see if we have chemistry with each other. And that's why we do it, because one main reason for the woman, too, is to see if this person has chemistry with me where we can have, hopefully, that we can have a perfect child, too, as well. Because what you're doing
yes.
is actually smelling his DNA.
Yeah, you're seeking out the
You're,
DNA.
you're seeking out his immune system. And that's how we are actually...
Got all that from me.
Yeah, but
Okay,
you're not
but how
conscious
does-
of it.
Yeah, but for people who are in not a committed relationship, they're just passing through or one night stand. Is that the
Yeah.
same?
I think your body's probably always searching for it, right? It's kind of like a Wi-Fi, maybe. You're always
Your body is always looking for it. And yes, even in a one night stand, see, when you ovulate, you release a pheromone that's called copulence, and it's Astra. So, does that sound familiar with a female canine?
I don't know. I don't
When
know.
a dog is in what?
heat.
Heat.
Oh.
A woman
Okay.
is also in heat when she ovulates. So when you ovulate, men smell you. Men can smell that you're ovulating, because what you're doing is you're saying
Well, the
it's-
pheromones are being
the pheromone is coming out and it's saying
Yes.
it's time for me to procreate. So this is some of the reasons why men are all over you at a club or something like, you're like, oh my God, why is this guy all over me? Right? Because he knows that you're ovulating. Now,
How would he know that?
Now
He might not know that he knows, though.
He might. He doesn't know.
Yeah,
He's
he's
not
not like,
cognizant.
ooh, I
He's
smell
not-
her ovulating.
He's
No.
not. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
He's
you
what?
know,
It's not cognizant.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about that too is that now that we're talking about this, people could be more aware
Right.
of how to tell when their significant other is ovulating because he's all over her, right? And you could tell. Now you could ask yourself at this particular time, wow, you're acting like you the same as last month. So then you ask yourself, am I ovulating right now? Because some people aren't
Or that
aware,
aware, yeah.
when
Okay.
they're ovulating, right?
Did you have a question?
No, no, go ahead.
So let's say there's a couple, you meet this couple, they're having problems in their marriage or they're just not getting along. How do you immediately go to the science of their
Right.
relationship, or do you go to the emotional part? Or what, like, how would you address someone who's, because without the knowledge, I'm just being emotional.
Yeah, I will go to the emotional. You have to figure out what's happening in the relationship, as far as communication. How are you communicating? Because you always communicate. When people say we don't communicate anymore, that's impossible. Because if you're not communicating verbally, you're communicating what? Non-verbally, right? So you always communicate. It's how you're communicating. So I think it's really important to go emotional first, and then you will discover the science part of it, because you realize, well, he doesn't touch me, and then we figure out, well, why aren't you touching? You understand that from the emotional side, you figure out, well, what's going on? Why aren't you touching? Or why aren't you kissing? Right? Because something emotionally that's happening in our relationship
holding you back.
where I don't want to kiss you now, right? Something that happened, and so that we have to discuss that. So it's on both sides. And I think today, everybody, therapist, psychologist, everybody should have that neuroscience
Absolutely.
certificate or some type of neuroscience. I also teach neuroscience, where we help coaches become neuro coaches. And I think today it's just important to understand the whole spectrum,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
To get that whole spectrum, because I've had clients to say, well, he doesn't want to kiss, or he just wanted to jump straight into sex, and then when a guy realizes, when he understands the science of it, And then he's like, oh my God, we kissed. I took out time and I had patience, and wow, she's like totally ready.
Yeah.
I was like, see, that's all you needed.
Yes.
And that's what she needs.
Right.
You know, so a man understanding
Right.
what she really needs,
Right.
you know, knowing that science, then you hopefully
Yeah.
you can be more mindful now and caring and patient
Yeah.
to take out that time and say, hey, let's kiss because I want both of us to be pleased
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, because if you're not taking out the time to do that, then he's only pleased. And then when it's over, she's like, wow.
Thanks.
Okay,
For
I have
nothing.
another question, but we got to get a
But-
commercial.
Yeah.
Real quick though, so going back to it, they need to understand that there's the science behind it and not just the emotional part of it. Like, oh, you need to be patient. Like, no, you need to give that testosterone that's in your saliva a chance to work and get to the neural. And maybe you need a lot of saliva. And I want to talk about lips and different lips in
Yeah.
a second.
Oh,
so.
Lord Jesus, here we go. Okay, but our second commercial for today is from LA on Cloud 9. Is a non-profit organization dedicated to the homeless community and their animals. They collaborate with multiple organizations to help connect people with housing, mental health, emotional support, animal certificates, along with proving them. No, that doesn't make any sense. Along with providing them with basic essentials, such as hygiene items, food, and clothing. They conduct a youth program to help young minds understand the meaning and importance of service to community, as well as teaching them how to deliver compassion and hope to those in their time of suffering and despair. They rely entirely on donations to serve the homeless population through the entire Los Angeles area. For more information, and if you want to donate, visit www.laoncloud9.org. www.laoncloud9.org.
And that will also be on our website,
Yes,
correct?
it will.
Yes, go donate.
Yes.
So, yes, so that question. So, we're going to talk about oral sex.
Yeah, can I say this?
Yes, go ahead.
When you said having sex in the first night,
Mm-hmm.
you know, when I was talking about the copulence and the androstenone, what happens too is when the male is releasing androstenone, she's smelling the androstenone. What happens is that when you ovulate, you have an effect on my testosterone level, and you also have an effect on me to even tell whether you're, you know, so beautiful right now, because my body's not even thinking that anymore now. It's thinking sex, right? Because your copulence has put my testosterone on a whole nother level. And this is how people end up having sex on the first night, because the pheromones are going right now, right?
I have two good questions on Facebook.
Oh,
I just
good.
want to get to them. Did you have a question?
No, go right ahead. I'll
Okay.
come up with those. After
All right.
those.
Is there a breakdown in the biological attraction after the couple has been together for a long time or when the couple is going through problems? How does the environment, money, work, housework affect that biological connection?
Oh,
Yeah,
great question.
yeah, it does. It's a great question, and it can affect. That's why it's so important to do new things in the relationship, because if you don't, you're not nourishing that relationship. You're not nourishing the body, because you have to feed. You
Yes.
have to feed, and what happens is that we get so comfortable in the relationship. What's the other word?
Complacent?
Complacent.
Another word.
Yeah.
Complacent.
Yeah.
You know, in that relationship, and we don't realize that we need novelty into our relationship. For instance, when you have people that jump off the mountains, you know, with the parachutes. and
Oh,
everything,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Before they actually
Adrenaline.
do that, before they actually do it, they get this adrenaline that's going through, and the anticipation, the oxytocin comes in too as well. The dopamine comes in, you know, and then when you jump, you get serotonin. When you jump, the feel good, right? The emotions, right?
Right.
It affects our amygdala, right? And when that happens, when you're doing this for a while, right? What happens?
It becomes harder and harder to get those
to
endorphins. and-
get those endorphins.
Yeah.
So what do? They look for another mountain
Yeah.
to jump on, right? To jump
Higher
off
mountain.
of.
But
higher mountain.
but I
So
don't mean
that
to
means-
interrupt, but I feel couples have to both agree to do that. Like you're saying something that's ideal, that, you know, in a healthy relationship, we'd go, okay, you know what, we need a date night every week, or we need, you know, because things are getting stale. But in most relationships, there's either one couple or one person or the other that sees there's a fracture, and the other one's just like going along, just doing life.
But I feel like it's more than that, though. I feel like you have to start at a molecular level. Like, I feel like anybody,
but
you have to start okay, for instance, if your sex life isn't that great, then maybe you need to go get your testosterone levels checked out, because maybe you're not producing enough testosterone to get everybody together. And
in order for it
your
to succeed,
not.
My point is, two people have to be invested in that thought process.
Yes. I think both of them have to understand it.
Yes. So how do you find that? How do you tell that person there's a disconnect here? And
I think you got to know it before going in.
Yeah. I mean, you just said though.
How do you know it before going in?
Because you need to have this information before going in.
Yeah, but not everybody does. We have it now because he's here.
Well,
in the ideal world,
I always tell people this, like, when you're looking to marry to someone or looking to marry someone, think about like their family history. Like, I always go medical. I always like look for medical history. Do they have a history of psychosis, crazy? Because that DNA is following you, and you're going to be procreating like that. Right. A lot of people don't want to think that far ahead, but I think you have to think about these things. If you're dating someone that is an adrenaline junkie, you have to realize that at a certain point, they're going to be looking for all of this. And if you're like a sedentary person or don't love to go on hikes, that compatibility is not going to be there.
Obviously, that's how your brain operates.
Yes.
So, but the normal person that doesn't.
Yes.
So, what would you suggest to someone who is listening and going, well, my spouse, she's not going to buy, or he's not going to buy into this? What would you suggest that they can do covertly that they can introduce into the relationship without that person knowing that they are now more informed? They're now more informed or aware.
Well, when we actually get to that point, when you said one wants to, one the other doesn't, when you get to that point, that's when you really need help. And you have to seek help because you notice that you're just one end is trying, the other end isn't, right? And that's how you're going to have to come to the person and to articulate or to communicate that, let's go get help. Right. Let's see a counselor. Let's see a psychologist. Let's see a relationship coach. It might not be as serious, so you could see a coach, to coach your way in, and it's for us to find those things. That's why that's why everybody go to school, to become therapists and counselors. Utilize that.
Yes,
because when you get to that point, that's why. And yes, on both ends, what you're saying is getting that information. That's why it's really good to get this information. That's part of preparing yourself, because preparing yourself is to prevent repairing yourself.
Yes.
So getting that information is to prepare, right? And to be more mindful when these things come up. Yeah. And how do I come to you? And I think that's also a conversation before you actually make that commitment. Like, what do we do if we run into this particular issue or challenge in our lives? What do we do? How do we handle this? If that, if you're watching this show, if you're watching a show, if you're reading a book, bring that conversation up in the relationship. Hey, what if this happens?
Yeah, absolutely.
We do the same thing with life insurance, right?
Yeah.
What if this happens?
Yeah,
we
has
think
some
ahead,
form of insurance.
Right. So you have to also do the same thing, and we don't do it.
Yeah, we don't.
We don't.
Right.
We get into relationships, and we never ask, well, if we run into this challenge, what would you want me to do? How would I talk to you? How would I come to you with this challenge?
Have those conversations.
Have those conversations. It's the same thing. And, years ago, people would be afraid to have I may die conversation for life insurance, right?
Yeah.
But the older you get and the more mature you get, you're like, wow, if something happens to me and I don't leave anything to help my wife or my kids, right? Yeah. That's maturity. It's the same thing with relationships, too. You have to think ahead. So if we run into this challenge, because we know that it's possible that we may run into this challenge.
Yes.
See, we get into the relationships, and this is that beginning part, sort of like I talk about this a lot, the in love versus true love, right? It takes no effort to fall in love. It takes no effort to fall in love. It takes effort to stay in love.
Absolutely.
That's the work.
Yes.
That's the
Yes.
work.
That's the work.
You see, we meet each other, and then you have those, those butterflies and the altered state of consciousness, the euphoria, the high. You're experiencing all those chemicals that we're talking about: the dopamine, serotonin, phenylethylamine. Right? We're getting all of that, and that's making us high. Those natural drugs.
Right.
And I believe the person asked too, what happens when those chemicals starts to die down,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important to now we're realizing, hey, we're not doing this as much. Be mindful of
Right.
it.
Right.
Being mindful of it, and to be able to communicate to each other. Again, it goes back to asking, how, if this happens,
Yeah.
how can I come to you about it?
Right.
That we need to do such and such,
Right.
more. We need to do this a little bit more, or we're slacking. We used to do this, and now we're not anymore. And not only allowing your partner to put in their claim, to put in, and what I mean by that is, you have a claim to put in, right? To allow them to put it in, and not, this doesn't mean an argument. This means I'm putting in a claim
Right.
about our business,
Right.
our relationship, right? And you have to listen.
You have to be open to it.
You have
Open
to be
yeah.
open to it. Yeah, you have to be open. If you're not, if you're capacious about it, then things will work. But you have to be very open about it. I think it's so important, and that's one of the number one keys to that. To the question. I hope I answered the question, but that's one of the number one keys
That's a lot of
to
science.
understand.
Yes.
A lot of science. 'Cause
Yeah.
Well, and I think too, people, and I'll let you speak in just a second, but to speak to it, a lot of people go into it with the understanding that it's just supposed to work.
Yeah, it's
you
just
know,
gonna work.
like it's just going to happen, and we learn about this.
Yeah,
We learn
yeah.
about the biology of it when we're very young, when we're in school, we're in high school.
That's right.
But we don't continue it on. We don't
Right.
carry it on.
That's
We
right.
just assume we're going to get married, we're going to meet our partner, and it's all going to be good.
That's
and
right.
it's just a misnomer.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So go
That
ahead.
we don't have to put in the work.
Right.
And,
Right.
and
It's
our
just gonna
relationship
happen
is just
by
going to be
osmosis.
fine. And because
Yeah.
that's how you feel when you
Right.
first meet, right?
And we don't talk about
you
it.
feel that there's not going to be any problems.
Right.
My relationship, you talking with your girlfriends or your guy friends,
Yeah.
my relationship is never going to be like that, right? We're going to be totally awesome, right?
Or you see failed
know.
relationships in your family, or you might not have a great example
That's
at
right.
home. And so you just assume, or you have parents that have been together forever, and you just assume, well, they make it work, and it's just supposed to happen that way.
That's right, and it's supposed to happen
yeah,
that way.
and we don't talk about it.
That's
Yeah.
right.
With our children. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, my question was, can science justify or along the lines anywhere love at first sight?
I would say, yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, that love at first sight is what I talked about in that in love, that love at first sight. One thing that Helen Fisher, what she did, Helen Fisher and her partner, I think it's Lucy or Lewis. What they did was put a person in an MRI, and they looked at the ventral tegmental area to see if it still lights up. And they saw that the people who just met, the love at first sight, that it was still there, right? After a period of time. And they also did another one where they had a couple to travel in a car with the love at first sight and to go a distance, right? Like from Florida to California. Let's see how you guys respond from that, not in an airplane, but in a car, right? And then they put them back in the MRI, and they saw it was like, this could have been love of lust sight.
Wow. Now,
Yeah.
as a relationship expert, do you feel that you should be in a long-term relationship before you ask your spouse or your partner to get married, or can it be after a matter of a month or two, or would you say most of your clients are long-term?
I think it's important. This is part of the prepare. I think it's important for you to know exactly what you're looking for, to understand what your needs, what your non-negotiable requirements, and your wants, right?
Yeah.
I always tell women, you're the employer. Us men, we're interested in trying to get the job.
Oh.
So you have to know.
Well,
Putting that, yes.
Yeah.
let's write that down. Say that one more time.
We are the employer.
You are the employer.
The man is interested in trying to
and
get
we're
the
trying
job.
to get the job. So that's why it's so important for you to understand what you're looking for to hire, right? As an employer, right? So
be
you have
honest,
to
too.
know
Be
your
honest.
job,
Yeah.
know your business, know
Yeah.
your business. So in order to know your business, you have to know when you're interviewing, right? You have to know what the questions you're going to ask,
Yep.
right? I mean, it's as well as us men. We have to know the questions that we ask. Once we realize what we're really looking for, right? And that's knowing who first.
Yourself.
Self. That's knowing self. So if you're an employer, you have to know your business. What do we ask anybody that's going into business for the first time or as a speaker? The first thing that they ask is, what is your what? Target. Right? Right? As a business. So in a relationship, you also have to think about, then what are you looking for? Right? Because people always say, oh, I don't want a list. Well, let me tell you about
Get a list.
Yeah, make
I'm
a
the
list.
queen of believing of a list.
I like a list. I like a good
Well, you know
list.
what? I am so glad. I am so happy that you guys believe in the list. Because let me ask you.
Yeah.
Let me think about this. People who say that they don't have a list and they don't believe in the list, then ask them this. Hey, look, I want to introduce you to someone. Now, he's an alcoholic. He smokes
Jesus,
a lot.
That is not funny, but
He smokes
yeah.
a lot,
Yeah.
right? He's lazy. He doesn't go, look
Doesn't
for
have
a
a
job or
job.
anything.
Ambitious, not
you know,
ambitious.
And he's what?
Not ambitious.
Not ambitious. And you name all those things, right? And he's like, so can I introduce him to you? And like, no. It's like, why? Why can't I?
But some women will say yes to that because
They think they can fix 'em.
yes,
Yeah, they think they can fix
unbeknownst to them,
right.
they want a
Right.
project.
Yes,
Yep.
yes, they got a project. But the ones who's fixing, I mean, the one who says no means what? They have
need
a list.
Yes.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
if you say no, that means you have a list.
Yes.
Yeah.
I
right?
believe in
and
it.
see, so many people don't realize that when you have people out here preaching, you see people on YouTube or don't have a list. It's like that's impossible.
Oh, yeah, you gotta have a list.
You have a list because you know what you don't want.
Right.
That's a
Exactly.
list.
That's
Yeah.
exactly
Isn't that a
right.
list?
That
Yeah.
is.
If you know what you don't want, that's a list. So, let me get right back to your point though. So again, knowing what you want, understanding your non-negotiable requirements, your needs, and your wants. If this person seemed to have the things that's on your list, right? You can't put a time on it. You can't put a time on it because it's just like if you're hiring for your business,
Yeah.
right? You can't say, well, give me a month or two and let me see. No, this person
Has everything. Yeah.
is on the check. It's like,
Yep.
okay, yeah. So,
Hired.
So
Got the job.
So again,
Yeah.
it goes back to knowing what you're looking for, right?
Right.
And sometimes we may not be correct, because that person is reading you. This is the thing. Stop. What is it in law? Don't lead the witness.
Oh yes, leading
Right?
the witness.
So-
yes.
so-
you're giving
so
them the insight.
Don't give them the
Yeah.
insight so they can say, "Oh yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah."
uh-huh.
I love
I love
skydiving.
tennis. I love tennis, right? And that's part of the testing screening, right?
Right.
So they say, they know you love tennis, and you didn't take them to a tennis match,
Right.
right? You know how long a tennis match can last, right?
Yes.
Or a baseball game, right? And you're like, I thought you loved tennis. Why you keep looking at?
Yeah.
Why you keep looking at your watch,
Yeah.
right? Because they know you love tennis. So be careful of letting them know what you're looking for, right? Because they'll say, oh yeah, yes, oh absolutely,
Or can you also
absolutely.
be honest too? Like if it's a woman and say, well, I don't love golfing, but I wouldn't mind trying it out, or I wouldn't mind going with you,
Yeah,
and I wouldn't mind like adapting, or because I probably didn't watch as much basketball. I didn't have a love of basketball. I can't say that I still love basketball, but my kids are in it, so I make that effort. So there's nothing wrong with that either, is there? Being like amicable and open to try, but you have to be honest.
But
I
you
think
have to be
honest and say,
because
I don't love
that
tennis.
person challenged you with that, and then you don't like it.
Yeah.
And you're only doing it because, wow, he's so handsome and he's making 6 figures and look at his house, look at his car, and you lying, but eventually you're not going to be happy. You're not going to be happy.
Yeah.
Okay, I have another question. Is there a conflict to your science beliefs and your emotional side, and how do you analyze that?
Yes. Good question.
Do you ever have a conflict?
Do I ever have a conflict with my relationship, or just my belief, just the science belief?
Yeah.
I have
in analyzing someone.
I have every once in a while. I do, and the thing is too with science, we're constantly learning.
Right.
What compared to what I know nothing. Because we're constantly learning every day, and what we learned 5 years ago or 10 years ago, somebody else right now, as we're speaking, some scientist right now is doing some research and go, hey, look. I know we thought that this happens because of our frontal cortex, but this is actually emotional from like when I first learned about the amygdala, right? The fight or flight.
Yeah.
I thought it was only about the fight or flight, until later on in studying more, I realized, it's an emotional stimuli too as well, the region part of our brain. It's just not just for that. And then I start learning that other brain regions, part of our brain, is responsible for other things than just this one thing, right? So absolutely.
Have you ever come to a place where you are with a couple and you realize it's not going to work? The science, because the
biology
emotional
and the chemistry,
because it's the science, the emotional component of the relationship has just overwhelmed the science. Like it's not going to work.
Yeah, I have, and there's sometimes too, instantly when you're doing this often, you begin to read not just what they say, but you're also reading their body language too as well.
Yes, let's talk about body
and
language.
you can actually
we don't have a lot of time, but
you can actually see that it's just not going to work, and you could tell just by the response from each other. Even if you're trying, like you found this key that can make you guys work, and you explain it to them. He's like, you know what? Oh, all you guys have to do is number 1 and number 2. But then you see it's still not working because this person is most likely had it anyway.
Checked out.
It checked out already, and they just came to, and sometimes you have to be careful too, because sometimes people just come to counseling or therapy just to kill more time, to get more time.
Gotcha.
I have to leave, but I don't have a place to go.
Right.
But she's saying, let's go to therapy. Yeah, let's go to therapy. Wow. Right? Let's go to therapy.
Can you pick up
on that? And I can pick that up.
On their body language.
Yeah, I can pick up on. So you're not here to really make it work. You're here just to kill more time, so you can get your stuff together, so you can find some place to go.
So you can tell that and she doesn't know. Like you could see and read the body language, and the woman is here because
she's living it.
She's invested in this relationship, so she's thinking he's here. It's a good thing.
It's a good thing.
And you are realizing, oh no.
What are some of the signs?
But we can't tell them.
Right, that's what I'm saying. How do you get to that place?
You have to help her. You have to help her realize.
Yeah, you have to help that person.
You have to lead the witness.
Right, exactly.
So what are the signs? Some of the body language signs in a relationship that you go,
Well,
or anything that we can look for. Anything that we can look for too.
Well, actually, too, we look for. I look for line detections. To see what's happening in the face, micro expressions, the eyes. It's so important too as well. The legs. How a person sit too. When you actually have a couple, the first thing that I look for is how they sit.
Oh.
The first thing I look for is, as soon as they sit down, that's the first body language I'm looking for. And
see, I straightened up. I was awesome.
See how separate they are when they sit. See if they fold their legs opposite of each other. So if they fold their legs opposite of each other versus
interesting.
together. When they're starting to get it, you see their legs change.
Oh,
You see their body language change.
so their legs turn into each other, or
turn into each other. So like, if we're here, my leg is folded this way,
and mine would be
and,
folded.
and yours folded that way.
Yeah.
Oh.
If they were
Starting-
opposite,
and
then
we're starting, but at opposite,
it's
it's
sure.
like
So that means you're basically giving them your back.
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's kind of the.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's exactly what you're doing, because you're not really interested right now in what the person is saying.
And
you know,
the
it's-
folding of the hand too, right? Like, isn't this a defense?
Now, what I teach in body language, we have to be careful and make sure that when we're reading body language, that it's in context. And what that means is, if somebody is folding their arms, you know, everybody's been taught that, right?
Yeah.
But we have to be careful, because in context, we have to view the world around us.
Right.
We have to make sure that it's not cold,
Right, right. So someone's keeping warm.
that somebody's
Right.
keeping warm.
Right.
Now, if they have their arms, then watch the hands, because what it is gripping. Once you grip, is I'm uncomfortable. I don't like what you're saying. I'm just not into what you're saying right now. Just like something that we can't hide, you know, is our pupils, right?
The dilating of them.
Absolutely, because when we are in normal light, our pupils should just be normal. When we're in bright light like this, right, our pupils will go smaller to protect our eyes.
Okay.
So if we go into the sun and the sun is real bright, it goes really small,
okay.
so it can protect our eyes from the light. When you like somebody in normal light, right, the pupils are real wide.
Oh.
And you can't control that. That's something that you can't control. So when you're in a business meeting, or you're trying to sell something, you know, or pitch, you know, in the studio, look at the eyes. And that person will tell you whether they're interested
So
or not.
you need to get some good distance glasses so you can see the
Heck, I
pupils.
gotta
see the
keep
pupils.
these on all day.
Yeah, and also
What's going
too,
on over there?
and
Yeah.
be careful too when you're
That's
at the
interesting.
desk and you're talking to someone, right? And you're asking for a raise or something like that too. Watch the person, watch your boss, and make sure that when he's talking to you, that he's okay. Well, we'll think about this raise. So what am I doing right now? What have you noticed
barrier.
I'm doing? Yes.
Ah.
Absolutely. So so you're mindful. These things that I'm talking about, you become mindful of it. So you're not just listening to a person's dialogue. You're not just listening to the voice. You're not just listening to the verbal commands, but you're reading and listening to the whole thing.
Right.
You're listening.
Okay,
and
so
reading
he's
the
been
whole
sitting
body.
like this the whole time. What does that say about him?
Confident.
Oh, really?
Oh.
And now before you ask me that, I already picked that up, because this is confident. You see, he's straight up. His chest is out, right?
His testosterone is flowing.
It's flowing.
Don't kiss her.
And that's one of the body languages, and this too as well. So when you're talking, so now from now on, when you see some speakers, and watch if they're doing this.
Right.
If they're doing this, they're in their zone now. Some of them will start off like this, but as soon as they come here, they're like, I'm here. I'm in my zone, and let's do it.
Yeah.
And I know what I'm talking
Yes.
about.
Oh
go.
my
Confident.
God.
Wow, this is not enough time.
I know. This is
Yeah.
crazy.
We still have a couple. We still have a couple more minutes because we came
we-
on late.
Okay.
And really quickly, I do want to talk about this book. It's like a downloadable book,
Okay.
right?
Which one?
Before You Netflix and Chill. Read this.
Oh, yes.
Yes,
Oh,
this is
yeah,
on your
yeah.
website, and I think that's a great title. I love it because it really speaks to the young people.
Absolutely.
Because this is what they're talking about. I
Right.
mean, you know, this is all over Netflix and chill. And people, you know, I get it. Young people have a lot of testosterone and estrogen, and everybody just wants to be having sex like rabbits.
Yeah.
That's fine. I get it. But at the end of the day, I think you need to be very aware and cognizant of this biology that we're talking about, because you could slip up and be mixing DNA with somebody and might not necessarily mean to do it, and then you are up shit creek without a paddle.
Wow, you are so right, because you know,
And
this
baby.
is what
And a baby.
happens with a lot of young kids because no, what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go and we're just gonna fool around. I'm not gonna
Yeah.
go all the way. You know, this is what a young lady
Yeah.
says, right? And she has no idea. See, this is something that parents could teach their kids about
Absolutely.
this, what we're talking about
Right.
today.
Yes.
Right? So the young girl, she goes over his house and she's telling her girlfriends, we're just gonna fool around. Fooling around means the first thing is kissing.
Yes.
So now look at this young body receiving testosterone. So we're talking about young ladies who end
Yep.
up getting pregnant
Yep.
at a young age because you don't have that strength, and plus you don't even have the cognitive ability to resist at a young age
Yep.
because the brain isn't fully developed
Yep.
at 16, 17, or 18,
Right.
or 19, or 20.
Right.
You know.
It's still
and
forming.
It's still forming. So now you're receiving all of these chemicals that's really challenging to say no with.
Yep.
You know, it's no different than somebody giving you, you know, people
here's some
people
coke.
aren't thinking
Snort some
about
coke.
cocaine.
Right.
People aren't thinking about I'm going to be an addict when you're first offered, right?
Right.
You're thinking to yourself, I'll be able to handle this. Right?
I can say no.
I can say no, and when I do, I could try this. I can do this because I'm strong. And then they realize, wait a minute, this cocaine is stronger than me, right? And dopamine is just as strong. Dopamine is 2 times stronger than cocaine. So we're talking about these pleasure centers
Yep.
being triggered, you know, at a young age. So that's why we came up with that, you know, to just explain, hey, wait a minute. If you guys are going to go just Netflix and chill, because it was so funny when I first found out what it meant.
I didn't even know that.
I was like, Netflix
You had never
and
heard that
chill.
expression
No.
before? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
And
term.
I have
So is
a
this-
22-year-old at
is
home.
this-
That's a term.
geared
Somebody was
towards
saying
young
it. I heard
people?
somebody else say it too. An older person was saying, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go home and Netflix
All
and
the
just
single
chill."
people. All
And I
young
said,
people and single people talk about it.
I said, you know what
that
don't say
means.
that around other people. She said, "Why? What does that mean?"
Wow, I
She
just
said, "What
learned
Netflix and chill
something.
mean?" And I explained. She said, "Oh my gosh," she's like, "I gotta ask my daughter." So she asked her daughter. She says, "Yeah, Mom, what did you say
You
that
shouldn't be
somewhere?"
Netflix and
She
chilling no
said, "I
place.
did." She said, "I said that."
I
in
was
the-
in church.
and other people were looking at me. It was like, "Oh my God."
So would you say that this is geared for young people or really anybody
Well,
can benefit?
anybody,
Yeah.
anybody, because
wow.
I love that.
because
Did you know that? I
You
didn't know
totally
that.
have to be.
Yeah. But I also too love on your website. I think his website is very informative, and I would suggest
Yeah.
everybody go to it, not just to download this and read it, but you were talking about the different seminars and things that you do. Let's talk really quickly about that because we're almost out of time. You do like Ladies Night Out.
I thought that
yes.
was
I
good.
love
Ladies Night
that.
In.
Ladies Night
Ladies
In. Sorry,
Night
sorry.
In, yes.
Ladies
Yes.
Night In. I thought that was a brilliant idea.
Yeah.
So next time you guys are getting together and you want to talk about, you know, a book or something like this, I think this is very beneficial to
Yes.
have someone with your expertise and your knowledge come and speak to you and your group of girlfriends, whether you're single, whether you're married. I think people can benefit from it. And then also the work that you're doing with the teen seminars, because I think this is very important conversation to have with our kids. Like
That's
you were
right.
saying, we have to talk. They're learning about the biology of it in school. So piggyback on that right now and talk to them about it. And once we become really understanding of this, it'll be so beneficial to them long term, or when they're out there in college and, you know, meeting people, or even in high school, because, you know, your hormones and puberty and everything is just going crazy. So you got to
Do I have to
understand.
say anything? I mean, you can drop the mic. You can drop the mic.
Dr. Grigsby.
You just said it.
Ah,
Absolutely, absolutely. I started off speaking with an organization. You guys have heard of Tavis Smiley?
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
Professor
Mhm.
Cornell
Yes.
West,
Mhm.
Michael
Of
Eric
course.
Dyson.
Yes,
Well,
of
that's what
course.
we would do. We would travel all over the United States, and Tavis had the Youth to Leaders Institute, and Vonda Page, she was over it, and she heard about me, and she was like, "Hey, I want you to be a part of this, and they're going to talk about business and leadership, and I want you to talk about relationships."
That's excellent.
And I was like,
Excellent.
"But they're little kids." I mean, she was like, "I want you to talk to them."
Yeah.
Mother. And wow, it's the best feeling ever when you see the eyes of these little kids. And then the next year, when those kids are there, and then they're repeating what I said, and I'm like, "Oh my God!" I went to was it Spelman and Harvard? You know, both of them are right next to each other, and I ran into well, he's a young adult now, but he was a little kid. It's like, oh my God, I talk about you all the time.
Oh my God.
I talk about you all. I was just telling the guys about the oxytocin. Yes. You have to be careful with the oxytocin.
Yes.
And I'm listening to it, and I'm like, wow.
Yes.
I'm like, I have to keep doing
Yes.
this.
Yes,
I cannot
absolutely.
stop. It's so important to me.
Excellent.
And
Yeah.
when little kids, now adults, come up to me and they're like, oh man, I just got through talking.
Yeah.
You got to come on my show.
That's
And I was like, wow. I was like, so you remember that? He was like,
Yeah.
yeah. It stuck with me. Plus the brain is right.
Yes.
It's right.
Right, for the learning.
And they're
This is the time
learning
for
it.
the learning.
They understand this lingo because
Yeah.
they're getting it in biology.
They're
They
getting it.
get it. They
That's
understand.
right.
They know what you're talking about.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or
Absolutely.
young adults that are in college. Us old
Absolutely.
people, we need to look off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned a whole bunch today.
A lot.
Yes.
Right? This
Yeah.
was so great.
We
This
have to
was
have you back.
Yes, because I
Yes,
have a lot of the
absolutely.
questions about menopause, women in menopause.
let's talk
'cause we're
about
not
menopause.
overloading. We're not ovulating.
You're
so
not
that's like a whole,
ovulating anymore.
yeah.
Let's
so
talk about that
I want-
menopause, and also let's talk about the birth control pills too, as well. How it minimizes the chances of young ladies finding chemistry with the male by taking a birth. That's another research that I'm
heck,
with right
you
now.
Are coming
Yes,
back.
yes.
You
Yeah.
are coming back.
And
Yes.
Europe, they're just like really big on this. And Dr. Lynn, I believe. I just met her. So we at the neuroscience conference, and we're both gonna talk about it together too, because I didn't know that she was in the same research.
Wow.
But that's something else that I wanted to also share with young ladies right now.
Yeah.
What the birth control pills actually too. It contributes to divorce. It contributes to divorce.
People who start taking birth control pills.
When you're
after.
on the birth control, okay. Should I or to next
So
time?
we have time. Let's do it for
time.
next time
Yeah,
because
let's
they're
next
gonna
time.
cut us off.
Yeah.
That's
I
a whole
know.
nother rabbit hole.
Thank you, Dr. Sims, for
Thank
being
you
with us.
so
Thank you, Robert,
much.
for
Thank
being
you,
here.
Robert.
So much to learn.
This is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes.
I know you've been informed, educated, and entertained. Catch us
Yes.
next Monday. We'll have an anniversary show next week. We'll hope you have a great rest of your week. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
You're listening to Table for Five with Felicia and Annette, only on LA Talk Radio.